Where's it at?
This little cutie had problems with her right leg and almost couldn't walk. She was sitting on the road and was howling all the time because she felt so much pain. The rescuers from Animal Aid took this pup to the hospital, worrying she had a fracture. They were afraid that they would need much effort and time to cure it, but fortunately, the hip of the puppy was just sprained. All she needed was a little correction with care and affection. She spent in the center just several days, eating tasty food and getting a lot of cuddles. She was too sweet to let her go.
A poor monkey tried to escape after a brutal attack by some dogs, and this taxi driver realizes that it's in critical condition. Look at how he saves its life like he would a human child. It will never forget his kindness. Save this unlucky elephant that had decided to drink water out of a quarry. Wildlife rescuers had to come up with an unusual solution. They tried several escape ladders until they found the right one.
Feline had no chance of freeing itself from the net. Even a whole crowd of people had a hard time getting it out.
A police officer heard the cries of an unfortunate dog that had accidentally gotten tangled up in some fabric, which the officer didn't hesitate to cut. After that, this dog's joy knew no bounds. This man is horrified because his dog is still inside the burning car. A policeman immediately begins searching for the dog, whose time is running out.
Oh my God! Where's it at? Come on, man! Hank!
Just getting it out of the car turned out to be even more difficult than they were expecting. You can always buy a new car, but you can never buy a new best friend.
The stray dog was poisoned, and he seems to know that this is the end for him. But his cries were heard, and medics were called to the scene with an antidote. Another stray dog even appears concerned by the fellow dog suffering. What a great thing to know that this poor creature will be okay.
Last thing a firefighter expected to find in a forest fire was a live baby kangaroo. Just a few more moments and the flames would have taken its life. Now, the baby animal's in good hands and is even given a name.
The people from the rescue team found this dog hit by a car in the street. He couldn't stand and was very frustrated. There was a confused expression in his eyes saying, "Why? Why won't my legs work?" When the rescue team took the dog to the hospital, no one knew for sure if it would be possible to help it walk again. Specialists examined the poor animal and found out that he had got a trauma to his spine, which had caused serious nerve damage. The doctors had just a little hope to cope with it, and they wanted to try. And they did. Sometime later, the dog, which was called Georgie, was able to walk again. He was very happy, relieved, and thankful to those who had saved his life. If not for these people, he would surely have not survived.
I don't know how this baby deer ended up in the middle of the river, but today is definitely his lucky day. It was so exhausted that it just couldn't walk, so this man became a temporary stand-in for its mother until...
You get out of here. There you go. There she goes, guys.
This sweet ending. This little bird was literally chasing a woman and her dog. It turned out that all it needed was a sip of water.
I said, "Mom, I have a bird that needs my help."
A very small kitten fell down into the 43-foot water well, which, to make it worse, was just 4 inches wide. A woman who had found him heard loud cries from the deep and didn't know in what condition the poor little baby was. Every minute counted because the kitten was there about 4 days. When the Hope for Paw team came to the place, it was the 5th day, and the mew was weaker and weaker. The specialist put a camera into the hole to see what was happening down there. They were almost desperate because to get this cutie from such a deep depth seemed to be impossible, but the people were doing what they could. The rescuers managed to grasp the kitten with the loop and pull it out. The kitten was so small and helpless that people were almost crying with sympathy and compassion. The poor kitten spent 120 hours starving, freezing, and almost motionless. In the hospital, the kitten was examined carefully, and tests showed that there was nothing seriously wrong with the kitten. But without the rescuers, Jessie had no chance to survive.
We don't know how this Doug family ended up on this highway, but we know for sure that they all would have been crushed if not for these bikers. They tried to escort the birds across the road, but it turned out to be too scary for them. Then they had to catch the ducklings with their bare hands, which is why the mother duck flew away in despair. The bikers' only hope was that the entire highway would come to a stop for their rescue mission, and every driver stopped. The family is reunited and safe.
This is one more example of don't care attitude towards wild animals in the forest. People found this boy when wolf hunting season was already closed, but this one got in the trap which had been left behind. When people found him, the big wolf was barking and howling, trying to call his friends, and it was a rather difficult task to set him free. One of the men put a noose on the wolf's head, and the animal got very nervous at first, but a bit later he calmed down. These people were very brave because trying to release the wolf's paw, they were very close to his mouth and his big, sharp teeth. The frightened animal could have attacked them at any time. One of the rescuers said that if there had been other wolves near the place, all of them would get no good from it.
The young bear got caught in a trap and thought that hunters had come to finish the job. But despite the risk of running into the cub's angry mother, these woodsmen began trying to free him. Looks like he's just fine.
A clumsy baby elephant fell into a ditch and thought his family was gonna leave without him. But instead, they called for people to come help, and with the help of an excavator, the humans were able to set their little one free. This mama elephant has more manners than most people I know.
When some terrible disasters happen, not only people get in trouble, but animals suffer too. Thankfully, this dog was lucky. When the waters from the overflowing river washed the pup from the stone, it was trying hopelessly to climb the bridge wall, but failed, falling into the water again and again. After that, the clever dog managed to get to the stones near the riverbank, risking being washed away. Fortunately, there was a local man who managed to come closer and took it out of the water. As the rescuer said, he couldn't stand by and watch the desperate animal dying. The dog was taken to the nearest shelter, where it got all the necessary help.
The last thing this man expected to see on the edge of a field was an abandoned dog, but he rose to the challenge.
Homeless dogs living in the street often have to find a shelter in piles of trash. This dog suffered greatly from mange and was not sure to survive in that place for long. She was so weak that she didn't resist when the people from Hope for Paws put the leash on her. Giving the poor thing some food, the rescuers managed to attract her to the car to take her to the hospital. In spite of her condition, she was trustful. Even when doctors were examining the creature, she didn't move and let them do what they needed to. Miley, as the rescuers called the dog, suffered from mange, parasites, bacterial infection, and a lot of time for recovering was required. In the center, she met Frankie, a little guy that had been rescued from the drain pipe and was really scared. Miley decided to take good care of him, and they became happy friends.
This kitten appears to be begging for help, but it's not enough. Its joints had been dislocated from the blow, and now its mother was asking for someone to save her paralyzed baby, and people answered the call.